Okay, I got these installed here, and see, with the flat head screw, they actually look fine, don't they? They don't look like they're sticking out too far or anything. I didn't have to drill the holes, and I ended up deciding to use the 2.5-inch screws because I'm going right into the wood. And what I did this slightly different. Remember, I measured, I had the center line where the center of the stud was, and I measured over a long 5/8 half-inch, long half-inch to have that edge. Well, I'm just using that center line, and I'll take my level and get a line from here up. That's the center of that 2x4, and then I just measured on here. You see, I measured up from the bottom up to the center of the first one, and that was 6¼ inches. And so then I just measured with my tape measure from here, 6¼ and then I got a mark there, and then I took a drill bit, and then I actually drilled that as a pilot hole into the stud, because you got to remember, these studs are over 15 years old, okay? And then I just held up the first screw, screwed it in, and then I plumbed it over, and then looked at the line. Okay, do I need to lift it up just barely or tap it down just barely? Got that, lined that up straight, and then once I had this plumb with my level, then I just drilled a pilot hole right in there and got that one, and then got that one, and then I went back and drilled all the other ones. And so see, now I put everything in to see how this is going to line up. And see, remember, I had a sprinkler, a fire sprinkler here in the ceiling. Sometimes condos come with fire sprinklers, sometimes they don't. Okay, and this shelf, and I made these a little bit over 24 inches at the bottom, and then this lined up pretty good to 16 inches. Then from here up was 12 and a half. And had I lowered it down one, it would have been lower than that. But then I've also got the shelf that kind of sticks down. You know what I mean? So I had 12 and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half. And I thought, okay, that looks pretty good. And that top shelf is probably you know, almost as high as this. So I know the shelves in that little closet, they're slightly higher, but that's okay. That gives me a little bit of extra room here. I could always do something else if I wanted smaller shelves or something. But see, for this shelf here, I've got to remember that this fire sprinkler's here. I don't really want to, even if I were to lower this down a little bit, yeah, the shelf could be down about that low, cutting in, but I don't really want this into a shelf, you know, in case somebody puts some stuff around, if somebody bangs it, whacks it, pulling something out or something, and they don't realize that's there. Because you got to remember, you know, all you do is cut that, hit that a little bit, or break that little bit of glass in there, and that thing's going to start spraying. So this top shelf, I'm just going to cut that top shelf just to about here. Okay, that way it'll remind me that there's stuff over there. I can still utilize that top shelf enough without having the shelves go all the way over to the edge. Okay, and then I've got to decide on this next one. See this next one here. See, I mean, this bracket doesn't have to go any higher, right? It doesn't. That's just going to be like that because you get the shelf in there. Who cares what the back looks like? So this next one, I don't have to measure it all the way up there. In fact, I've got a 4-foot shelf bracket here, and if I kind of hold it up there and mimic that, that's almost about the same gap as from there to there. See that? And so when I get to the next one, when I get ready to cut it, I may just cut it back so it's about the same bit, because see, I know this shelf here is going to come across right about there, coming over. Do you see what I mean? And so this one is going to be fine. So that's where I'm going to put that one, and then I'll just and I'll just start working that way, figuring out boom, 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 where's the shelf going to go. Once I get this next one up, I can put some other brackets, and I can kind of line this up and get a happy medium for where I want those brackets. Because see, sometimes maybe this bracket has to go all the way up for the last bracket to hit and to fit on there, depending where it fits on the ceiling. Do you see what I mean? And so that will be figured out as I'm going down this aisle here. Okay, so see this next one, I don't know what the deal is. Look, there's screws here, then there's a screw hole there, and there's one there, and there's nothing all the way down. And that's something from there down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill another hole, probably down in here somewhere, maybe 6, I might even make it 6 1/4, like these other ones, just to match it, and drill it up there, and that'll be fine. Or I can measure it down and see these brackets, there's no back to it, so if the screw sticks out, that's okay, as long as it doesn't hit right where that is. If it's that one, I can do it. So I'll have to figure out where to drill that, because I'd rather have this held up with 4 screws rather than 3. I don't want this to move around, chatter, or anything. Plus, if I get another screw in there, that'll be 4 screws in this bracket instead of 3 screws. See? Okay, and then I'm sure I'm going to have to do the same thing to the next ones as I go. Just kind of take your time, look at your stuff, make sure you got all of your screws in. See, these had 4 screws, and it had a double screw up there for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe if there was a bracket, some sort of different type of bracket up there, or something. And you know, if you want to put some extra screws in, you can if you want. And if you think you want more strength or something, take this bottom one out, drill another hole in there, put another screw in there if you have to. You know, but I think these screws are fine. I got 4 of them, and they're 2.5 inches long. Make sure you use long enough ones. And worst case scenario, if you happen to not pre-drill your holes, maybe you hit a knot or something and it breaks off, you might be able to sneak in another screw in there in the same hole, or drill another hole down in here and move the screw and put the screw down over there. Okay, well, think about your project, take your measurements and all that kind of stuff, and get on with it. Save that money. Now see, this is a pantry, and I'm using these kind of shelves. Yeah, I mean, most people don't do that, but hey, that looks pre-finished. It's all nice and white. I've got the extra duty, strong, heavy duty support brackets. The vertical brackets are the heavy duty ones. Even the shelves are the heavy duty ones, because they've got the wire is a little bit thicker, the main bars, and the wires are closer together. Boom, 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 boom. So you can use them for shelves like that. So hey, can you use metal shelves for pantries? Yeah. And if you didn't want to, like I said, I was thinking initially to put wood across here, like melamine, pre-finished melamine shelving, but see, I'd have to put that on there, line this up exactly. These happen to have a hole here. I'd have to get a screw just right for the length of this to screw it up into the wood, and then there was only one screw. It's like, okay, what am I going to do over here? Do I just let it free float? I mean, I could have, or I could have put some little brackets on here, some L brackets, but I thought, no. Even with the white melamine, after a while, the pre-finished white on there starts scarring up. You know what I'm talking about. Look underneath your sink, your kitchen sink, if you got melamine, or where your pots and pans are. And if your house is 7-8 years old or so, you pull those out and look, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I don't really want all that marks on the melamine shelving here and that kind of thing. So that's why I decided to go with the metal shelves. Now here's something else to think about too. These metal shelves, these heavy duty metal shelving, they come 16 inches deep or 18 inches deep. I think it's 16. These happen to be 12, and I thought maybe could I get in more, and I thought, well, this isn't really wide enough. I don't want the shelves to come out any further than 12 inches. I think that's fine. That gives me enough room to be able to stack things back in here if I need to, and not have to squeeze through here and walk sideways in through here, because I decided to have these shelves 16 inches wide instead of 12 inches wide. Okay, if this was 4 feet wide, I may have gone, or 4.5, 5 feet wide, I may have gone a little bit wider on these shelves. But hey, look at your spaces and decide, hey, what are you going to do with that little closet under the stairs? Ooh-wee. Well, that's what it looks like so far. Are you there? Look at that. And I had to do some figuring on there, because initially I was going to do a 5 and a 2 and get that out of a 5-footer, and then a 4-footer for the last 2 pieces. But then I thought, hey, wait a minute. Maybe I can do a 4-foot piece and cut a 3-footer out of here. The 1-foot piece I could put down there, and then that's for a 4-footer, and then another 4-footer would be this and that, and then I've got a little bit left on that. So that's what I did. That way I didn't have to use up an additional 5-footer. I did a 4-footer instead. And you'd be surprised how much these things cost at the store. And see, I've got 2 5-footers left, and I got a 4-footer left. Okay, I can take those back to the store and see that's how much I've got left out of a 4-footer. And I'll save that for another time in case I ever need to use it. But these, I don't know if these grooves match up to standard brackets, because the standard brackets aren't as wide as this. And the other thing I had to figure too was I had to cut them in such a way to where I still had 5/16 left at the bottom, because if you don't do that, then your shelves aren't gonna line up, because these brackets, see these brackets here, there was 5/16 from here up the factory edge, and so on the 4-footer I used the factory edge down there, and then I had enough to where I could leave that short. And then I measured and did 5/16. See, I cut this one, I measured from there up to cut it there. See, and then I used that last little bit. In fact, that was, I just measured off of this, and this piece is that piece down there. And see, I mean, somehow they all kind of lined up, didn't they? And now I'm getting ready to put the shelving on, and I didn't know how far these would span, and I'm okay. You know, they're going to go from here out to about here, and so it's going to span, you know, a foot or so. So I don't necessarily need to have another little bracket. I would have had to cut a little bracket and put it here, cut another little bracket and put it there, cut another little bracket and put it there. See what I'm saying? So this shelf is just going to go from here, and it's going to stop there. And there's no way I'm going to be able to put enough weight from here to there to make that little section of the shelf sag. And so now I can start putting my shelves up there, and I've got to figure this out, because my shelves, I have 6-footers. Yeah, I have 6-footers and 4-footers. See, I got 6-foot shelves, and then I got some 4-foot shelves underneath. And so I've got to figure out how to join them, because I'm not sure where the 6-foot's going to reach. You know, for this bottom shelf, where's the first shelf going to be? And you see, 6 foot is 72. It's about 2 inches short of this last bracket here, and so I'm thinking about cutting, measuring the brackets, the shelves. See, one way I could measure to the center of this and stop the first shelf right there. That I only get 5 feet out of the first shelf, not 6 foot. And then I've got a 4-footer left, and then I can join it there, and then the joint will be right there and it will hold. If you're out in the middle and you don't want to do that, then you have to get a bracket and extend it, all that good stuff. You see what I mean? I think I got one of those brackets. I'll show you what I'm talking about.